Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Whether you are here in person or watching the recording, we are so glad you're here. Welcome to our August 11th, 11/11, Living Our Values, where we come every month at 11 a.m. on the 11th of the month, well, specific time, and we talk about what it means to live our values. So welcome. So glad you're here. And this month, we are talking about values and what does success mean? We're talking about success. The last couple months we've talked about abundance and having aligned abundance, and kind of a related topic is this word success, which has been on my mind a lot lately. And what is fun to do each of these months is to come here and talk about different aspects of our lives and how to see them from the lens of our values, how to improve our alignment with what we're doing, how we're living, so that life feels better. Because when we are aligned with what matters most to us, we can feel it in the form of energy, good mood, happiness, joy, satisfaction, fulfillment, and we can live better lives for ourselves and create better environments for ourselves and those we love, and our communities too. So welcome. And we are glad you're here. If anyone want to check in and say hello this morning?
Hi, it's Sharice. I'm here. Happy to be here on this beautiful Sunday. It's lovely outside and just enjoying my weekend.
It's so good to have you and see you here too. And hi, Terry.
Good morning. I'm just waking up, so I'm um and it was 107 out here yesterday during the
Oh,
day.
That's all.
So it really is hot and very dry. And um I don't know, I was out hanging in a hammock in the morning, and then the sun came and just was so hot.
Yeah.
I don't I don't think I could live out here.
mhm.
Yeah. That 29 Palms, is that where you are?
29 Palms, yeah.
Well, I'm
And
glad you're here, and we'll talk about all of those fun aspects of our lives and see how they can help us really define what success means to us too, right? Like where we live, how we live, what we want to do, what does it all mean within the circumstances of our lives. So I like to start by defining what core values are, because it's a good reminder every month to kind of go, oh yeah, what are those things? Because in our world, in our culture, values are mentioned quite often. They're said, oh, make sure you share your values before you partner with somebody or date somebody or get married to somebody or go into business with somebody. Make sure you know your values when you look for a job or when you are shopping. But what does that really mean? And there's many different ways of determining your values, but we have a specific way, a different approach where we go really into self-inquiry. But we start by saying, okay, what are values? So values are what we call single words or short phrases that really identify and reflect the things that are most important to you. They provide an opportunity to reflect to us immediately in an instant, like connect us to our best version of ourselves, our highest version of ourselves, with ourself with a capital S, that part of us that we know is us in the most authentic, real, true way, that sometimes we can lose if we're tired or if we're overworked or overburdened or stressed or busy in the fast pace of our lives. So our values really help us remind us who we really are in the deepest sense of that word. So when we do a values quest or a values discovery workshop, it takes some time, because to get to, if you're going to define that true essence part of yourself and find the words that help reflect that, it's not going to come in a 5-minute workshop or even an hour. It's going to take some time. And it doesn't take forever, but it does take some intention and some commitment and a real practical approach to committing to doing the work to really know what that is for us, and making sure the values you think you have are yours. And that's a kind of a good segue into this topic of success, because success can be somebody's value, but it's also a word that is pretty loaded. So I want you to take a moment and think about a time when you felt successful and what that felt like. Can anyone think of what that felt like when you felt successful? If there was something you felt successful on, and they can be successful. Like, well, let's answer the question, and then I'll comment on it after. But anyone have any ideas in their kind
Yeah,
of?
I
Yeah.
do. I feel a very public recognition that made me feel successful was when I received 2 awards for teaching. It was really at an incredibly peak part of my career as a adult ed teacher, and I received an award in the LA Metropolitan Area Award for Best Teacher, and then a State of California Award for Best Teacher. And it felt great. And I had to give a speech. And as both of you know, I have been in Toastmasters now for a few years, because when I made those 2 speeches, I was alarmed while I was on stage. I felt in danger and couldn't wait to get off stage, even though being a teacher is a public experience. You are in front of a class, but it's something that you build over time. And I can think back to when I started teaching, and I would walk into a room and I would say, thank God I have a book, because you have to follow a whole course of work, because this feeling would just come across me that I was gonna just make a mistake somehow. By saying something, I was gonna make a mistake. And so I felt like I had overcome that when I got those awards. So that felt like a very public success.
Right. Yeah. A very externally recognized success.
Yeah, by a lot of people.
Right. And it sounds like it was, yeah, by a lot of people, in front of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you said it felt great. Are there any other words you would use to describe it? Like that you would find?
It felt great, and it felt like it was a long time coming.
Yeah.
Because I think in terms of all the things I did with other teachers to develop curriculum and find the right books and teach other teachers techniques and all of those things, it just felt like it took that it was a long time coming. But I'm really glad. I don't even know how it came about, but it felt it felt great.
It's amazing. Congratulations, A, on the accolades and the awards, because it is really, it does feel good when we are recognized for our work from the outside. It really
Yeah.
does. And I think, but what I also heard you say is it also felt really good because you had overcome some challenges, the concern about the fears you had showing up and making a mistake. I would imagine that there were a lot of little successes leading up to that big successes. And I don't even know that it's little. I would say like, internal successes versus externally validated successes.
Right.
Up every day for work, even when you didn't know what was going to happen, choosing to develop curriculum. All those successes, those day-to-day successes built into the opportunity so that when you received your accolades, your awards, it felt even more powerful, I would say.
Yeah.
Is that about right, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was given a sort of the invitation to speak, because I was going to receive the award, I was surprised that it had gotten to that point without me participating, because most of what happens in education is you apply to receive something.
Right. Well, a lot of them are like that. I mean, a lot of those magazines and things, you know, they're like the most innovative companies. People spend money and apply to get those awards. So there is another level to it that is absolutely true. But it sounds like this one was not the case.
Right.
Yeah. And do you think one of your values, which one of your values played into it? Do you think there was, I mean, do you remember your values? I mean, I have here like focused efficiency as I think one.
Yeah,
Um,
I would say that played a big role.
yeah. And even self-expression is the one that I have
Yeah.
for you. And even feeling valued, feeling treasured. That's one that you had mentioned was important, was something that was important to you. And I wonder that over time your students demonstrating that to you because of the work that you did added to that meaning of that external award.
Yeah, I think there was actually a team of people at the top, the principal and the assistant principal, who mm, who were a special pair of people to work with.
Mm.
And it happened during their term that this came about. And I had known them from the beginning of my career. So
Mhm.
I think I would put another value into that collection of values, and that is to work with really good teams of people.
Yeah, you have that in connection and belonging and community. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think, you know, what I wanted to point out is that sometimes when we have the success, we can reflect back on and go, wow, it actually aligns with almost all my values, if not all of them. Like, I bet you could find a way that it would connect with all your values because you just added one right now that, you know, wasn't as obvious to me. But the idea is that if, you know, is that with our successes, the values alignment, the values based approach makes them that much sweeter because you realize how attuned it is to that part of you.
Yeah.
I'm going to pause on this because I have a follow up to that. But Therese, I want to hear from you too. Did you have you ever, did something come to mind when I said, oh, a moment of success and how that felt to you? You're muted.
Oh, yeah, well, nothing as big as Teresa's, but I mean, a small little milestone was, you know, I'm not using my office anymore because my desktop died, but so I'm using my laptop. And in my room, I have a recliner and like a little table, you know, like a table that I can put my laptop on. So I have actually kind of moved my office into my room. So one of the little successes that I did have is actually kind of cleaned up all the papers and stuff and books and stuff that had piled up around my recliner because now that I'm not using my office anymore, I kind of turned my a mini office into my bedroom, but that was a little success for me because even my sister noticed that, hey, your room is cleaner. You got those piles of papers and stuff off the floor, and it felt good. I felt relieved. I felt like I could breathe more. I could think more clearer. Just getting rid of like the clutter. So that
Yeah.
was helpful.
Yeah, that's a huge moment of success that has kind of that result that is instant or not instant. I mean, it takes time to do it all, but that once it's done, you're like, oh, I can breathe. It has
Yeah.
that visceral
Yes.
feeling of success. And that is a really important success. And I think part of the conversation I wanted to have today is to recognize that there's success all day long, being and
Yeah.
taking being mindful about it for ourselves, because it feels better when we do, when we recognize, oh, it's a success to show up here on Zoom month after month. It's a success to get a good night's sleep sometimes.
Mhm.
And I posted a picture, and it took a bunch of times for me to get the picture of the waves just exactly right, but that was a successful moment, being able to like capture it right when I wanted it to look a certain way. And it feels good. It's kind of like, it feels like it all aligns in just that split moment. And being able to honor those small successes as well as the larger ones, or I don't even know, again, I'm reluctant to say big and small. I think it's maybe more internal, external, right? Like, what are those internal ones versus the ones we get success we is visible to the other external people versus success that we enjoy. It may be the difference. I don't know. I'm curious about what you all think, but I think the idea is okay. In that moment for me, taking that picture, it was like alignment of the waves is a creativity for me, my value, and connection to the moment. And I was at the beach in the East Coast with my mom, so I was in a good place, and I felt like I was flourishing and walking and exercising, and so I could have all those moments in a photograph. And I imagine now, Sharice, I don't know, I'm not as familiar with your values as I am with my own. So I would love to hear if you can name maybe one or two of your values that align with the clearing of the space and the energy and the decluttering. Was there one that came
Um,
for you on that one?
Probably dedication, because I really needed to dedicate myself to setting aside some time to get things in order.
Right. So is order your value or is dedication your value
A
more?
dedication.
Dedication. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's and can you tell, like, when something like that happens and you've seen the evidence of your dedication, right? So you're seeing it in a tangible way and you can connect it to that. Does it feel differently at all?
Yeah, it feels the word victorious is
Mm.
a little bigger than what I wanted to use, but it is a small victory.
Oh, it is. I think it is. I don't think and that's why it's maybe not a small success, right? Like, when you live your value in your home or your space, it's victorious. I think
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
yeah.
And my experience, and that's why where I wanted to talk about success today, is because when we attach our successes to consciously attach them to our values like that, like, oh, I demonstrated my value of dedication in doing this, dedication to myself and
Hmm.
valuing my own workspace, dedication to the place where I can rest, calmness, dedication to my work, making sure all the papers are in the right spaces, or my personal work. Like, you really demonstrated dedication there. And in doing so, yes, we like order, yes, we like to declutter. It elevates it another level. And I wondered if you felt that or not. And it sounds like you did, if it moved from like small success to victorious,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and that's the practice that I my hope is for these living our values sessions, is that more and more we start to connect these daily experiences, successes, to our values, to infuse our life with that much more vitality, victory, and just well-being in the end, if that makes sense. Were there
Mhm.
any other values, I'm curious, that might have shown up in that process for you?
Um, I don't think so. I can't tie any of my other values into it.
Okay.
Some of my other values are like service,
Mm-hmm.
integrity, authenticity, commitment. I guess commitment would be.
Commitment similar to
would
dedication.
probably go with dedication,
Yeah.
um, loyalty, genuine. So I have quite a few, but probably commitment and dedication would tie into
Yeah.
that
And I would wonder too, if like in a way, integrity, depending on how you define integrity.
mhm.
So, um, because integrity from, and does your integrity include like doing what you say you're going to do, or what is your definition of integrity?
Um, uh, being honest,
Hmm.
and yeah, integrity could tie into being, being a person of your word as far as doing what they say they're going to do. You could line that up with integrity as well.
Hmm. And I wonder even order, there might be a sense of order,
Mm-hmm.
part of integrity, because you can't really have in integrity when there's chaos. Like there's something, you used the word order earlier, which is why I was
Yeah.
bringing it up. So I wonder if there's part of your definition of integrity has a sense of order to it.
Mm-hmm. Could
Like,
be.
you know,
Yeah.
um, so in that way, what it does is I see this as a spiritual practice in many ways, right? Being able to align something that you talked about that was meaningful to you, really had an effect on your life, the clearing, all of that, to your values, can show you how you're living your values even when you may not realize it. And that when you're cleaning a closet or showing up to teach or taking a picture, we're actually demonstrating our values. And the more we can connect those activities to that, the more resonance they'll have in these moments of our day, and have a day full of lots of success. Big, inward success, outward success, I think is what I'm going to say now instead of big and little. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I would say, even authentic, I can see all of them in there. Loyalty to yourself, taking the time to care for. Is loyalty about loyalty to self, or more loyalty to others?
Both. It's both. It's
Yeah.
both, because I see myself as a loyal person, and as much as I would like others to be loyal to me, but you can't dictate how a person is going to be. But I would want or would hope that a person would be loyal.
Yeah. To self and others. Yeah. And service. You're in your house with your mom, caring for her. So I think it's being a service again to yourself and to others.
Mm-hmm.
Caring for your space in this way, because the reason you're set up this way and changed a lot of it is because of the service you're committing to your mom. So you're making it possible to take care of yourself as well as her. So it's, in some ways, it's an act of service to her for you to take care of your space. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so when you're like, wow, maybe that's part of why it felt so good, because you were actually living your values when you were cleaning up your papers.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it feels good, and it feels good to be cleared up for the moment. But when you add your values layer into it, it deepens that, to be then able to the next time things pile up, because they always do, to be like, oh, wait, yeah, I remember how great it felt. And B, when I'm doing it, I'm being of service. I'm practicing dedication. I'm practicing integrity, commitment, loyalty, genuineness. It's a motivator even to do those things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um and you can, and that's a kind of another level of success for you. Is that
I
making
have a question, Charisse, because I hadn't known you were taking care of your mother. but I think there's a value that I had to grow in order to take care of my mom in my own house. And that was that there are parts of my mother's personality that are very difficult. And I had to decide to overcome my protectiveness of myself and protect myself in some other different way to have her live with me until she died. And I'm just wondering if, and I guess the value of that we share is loyalty. And I have always felt very loyal to my mom. I don't know if that's true of you too, Sharice.
Can you rephrase? Can you be specific in your question?
Oh, yeah. My mom
Oh, and
can be very difficult.
I just want to make
What?
sure, hold on one second, Terry. Are you comfortable, Sharice, hearing a question from Terry?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great. I just wanted
Okay.
to double check. Okay.
Okay. There were parts of my mom that were very difficult. She could be very hurtful. Excuse me. Um, and I had to overcome a sense of protectiveness. I didn't want to move in with her because I already have, I have a husband and a whole lot of things I take care of. And to have her there meant to just, overcome some protective things that I was practicing by not having her live with me. But it came to a point where she had to live with me. And so I would say I would add a value of overcoming, I guess it has to do with integrity, overcoming a certain definition I have of integrity to myself in order to take care of a person who means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm. I think what I heard you say in the beginning is that it took a certain amount to grow, and I think with my situation, I yeah, I it took a lot for me to grow, and I think what I gained during the process was patience. It especially in the beginning, I noticed myself over the years, I have become a lot more patient. And I
Right.
think with the situation, that my situation particularly, it required a lot of understanding of the disease because my mom has Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, it took a lot for me to keep hearing the same, her ask me the same thing over and over again. And it's kind of,
Yeah.
I had to do my due diligence and do the research. So I was in school, and one of my classes we had to do a project on something. And I actually dove into dementia and Alzheimer's. So I learned a lot during that with my class being a crutch and a filler to help me um, provide that safe space of learning, growing, and knowing.
Yeah.
Um, so for me, I think I haven't had to deal with any personality issues, and I'm very grateful that she is has a very calm demeanor. I'm very grateful for that. And I just experienced just a tremendous amount of compassion and patience during the process.
Yes. And I would say I also had to come up with ways to forgive myself when the compassion and patience wore out.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yes. I do have moments of that. I do have moments. I do have moments of that because it's kind of,
I,
yeah.
Yeah. Um, thank you, Terry, for your vulnerability and sharing this, and both you too, Charisse, for sharing, these difficult chapters of our life and how do we show up for them with love, with our full selves, and care for ourselves through that. Really, for caregivers and people who are caring for others at different phases of life in particular, how do we not lose ourselves in that? And I think that's what I heard at kind of the root of this. How do we take service, but not make it only about the other person? Because as they
yeah,
say, if we, on the airplane, when the oxygen mask comes on, you put the oxygen mask on your first
On yourself first,
child.
right?
So if we don't fill our cup, we have nothing to give. And
Very true. Very true.
and that's why with the values, and is that I see them as a bridge between our relationship with ourselves and our relationship with others. So they go both ways. So if loyalty, I think you had said both of you have loyalty as one of your values. It's
right.
self-loyalty as well as loyalty to others. Now there's a tension in that sometimes, and that's what I'm hearing you were working out. And there are other tools to use to help work out that tension. But it's the moments of self-love where you're like, yeah, I'm imperfect. I'm not going to be compassionate all the time. That's being self-loyal, when you don't recriminate yourself, when you don't
Yeah,
take yourself out, or when you
yeah,
clean up your papers and take time for yourself, or go outside and look at the garden. Each of those moments, if we can say those are loyal moments, I am loyal to myself. And it's in
yeah,
those small moments that are successful. Because when we start paying attention to those small moments, it doesn't become these big sweeping stories in our mind, right? We can find the ways that we are caring for ourselves in midst of really difficult time where we're caring maybe 80-90% of the time for someone else. How can we still, because if we do it that much, we're losing ourselves. But there are moments that require that too. So it's not a black and white situation. It's kind of how can we navigate it in a way that holds the tension of both, and love ourselves through it. And that's what I hope the values can help do. That's like a perfect example of what we want to talk about today, like successes within something. Like there's the award side of things, which are amazing. And then there's these successful moments of like, oh, I had a day where I took a walk after caring for my mom all day, or the kids, right? Or whatever it is that is pulling you in a certain direction. Like that is success.
yeah,
And it's not just success because it's something I wanted to do and needed to do for my own health, but it's success because it's part of my loyalty to myself. It's part of my dedication to myself. It's part of being of service, because I'll be better service to someone else if I'm caring for myself. It's part of my integrity in my body. So it's like you can name, I mean, I'm using your values just as a demonstration, but it's a way to say, oh, wow, right? A 10-minute walk could be just a 10-minute walk. Like, I took a walk today. It's not enough. Or it could be all of those things in that moment. And then that just becomes a huge success in the day. And when we're caring for others in such a rich way and deep way and challenging way, if we're honest, that requires an enormous amount of patience in a world that moves very fast, then it's a helpful tool for us. And that's my hope, is to continue to talk about it so that we can see how it's a tool to be used no matter what we do. And to see the successes in our life, right? Celebrate the big awards, celebrate those amazing moments,
And I think that's what I would like to, and this is, I guess, appropriate timing, as far as the values workshop and what is success, because it helps me uh kind of it, remember to acknowledge those little successes, because it's not always on success can be on a small scale, it could be on a big scale, but I think what is important for me now is to realize the small successes, and it could be something as little as, hey, cleaning up this area over here where um I'm creating a small office into my bedroom. So I think what is will be the challenge for me is to keep the flow of recognizing the small successes and the small victory.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautifully said, and that's the hope, right? Because the big successes come and go, but we have so many in between. And that was another question I want to ask: what does success mean to you? Right? And my mom wrote this to me when I was in my 20s, and I was in a super successful time in my career, on paper, and she wrote, "Success is the well-being that comes when the decisions you make match who you are." So I'll say that again. Success is the well-being that comes when the decisions you make match who you are. So success is the well-being. And isn't that an interesting way to define it? Success is well-being. And that comes when the decisions to clean an area, to declutter, decisions to teach in a certain way every day and show up even when it's hard, the decisions to take a walk, take a picture, to care for a parent who's aging, those decisions, and letting them match who we are, which is our values. Our values are how we know if they match us or not. Because the flip side of this is, have you ever met a goal that you had and didn't feel satisfied? We're like, wait, this is it? You know, I'm like, really? I met a goal. I mean, I have. Have you ever been like, wow, I worked really hard for that, and that's all? And that's the difference. If you can think of a time when that happened, you worked super hard, and you're like, where are the bells? I got the award. I got,
Right.
you know,
Is this it?
you're on the cover of a magazine, and I'm like, what? So,
Yeah.
you know, it didn't. I mean, it was fun for a second where someone's like, oh, look. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. It was an article in a trade magazine. And I was like, huh, that's cool, sort of. But I'm like, it didn't feel as satisfying or as meaningful as other things did, because it really didn't match my values in the end.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's the difference. So I think it's both. It's right. It's being able to recognize in our daytime the many successes that we have, the
Every day. Yeah.
internal ones, and really honor ourselves for that, and use our values to help us know that we're on track, right? Like, oh yeah, I'm dedicated. And that's why it's good to have them posted somewhere, because it will remind us about them. Like, oh yeah, that's right. Taking pictures is creative for me. I love it. I love it with a camera more than a phone, but if I have a phone, that's good, you know? And seeing things in a certain, with the light and the colors and all that kind of stuff. But remembering it's my value of creativity that reminds me about the flourishing aspects of life, that I'm in integrity in the moment because I'm present when I'm actually taking a picture, things like that. And so it's just connection. So it feels that much more exciting, satisfying, victorious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So I would encourage you to, if you haven't in a while, post your values where you can see them, that
Yeah.
list.
And yeah, I think I haven't, and I haven't, but yeah, that's something I will do. That's something I will do now that I've kind of narrowed, well, not, I'm adding more values as we're here on this podcast today. But yeah, at least I have a set to go to work with now.
Yeah. And I think there's, yeah, the ones you gave me were 7. I think they're probably some that are part of others. And
Mhm.
yeah.
And I did leave out adventure, because adventure is one
Oh
of
yeah, that's right. We talked about adventure.
adventure is one of my values.
Yeah. So put them all up, and see which ones really resonate for you. Put
Mhm,
them up and go, which ones are that full body? Yes. The ones that are like, oh yeah, adventure. Knowing
mhm.
you, adventure is there too.
Yeah.
you know so and even my creative mind can see the piles of paper as an adventure, you know what I mean, like little mountains
Yeah.
of clutter. You're like, I'm getting in this adventure, I'm clearing all this stuff and climbing this mountain and standing on this paper. It's its own funny form of adventure,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Yeah.
it may be a stretch, but my creative mind can see it.
No, because it could be an adventure, because you never know what you're gonna find.
And that's like I used to say to my girls when we were going somewhere, like, and there was tears, I'm like, it's not a real adventure if there isn't a moment of like crisis or sadness or tears or angst, and then you overcome it and then you get to the other side. So it's true adventure has all of those things wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
But I would, and Terry, if you are up for it too, put your value, and I'll do the same, put our values up somewhere we can see them.
Yeah.
And really, we want to narrow it down between 5 and 7 ultimately. But we pick the one, some of them may, like you were saying, dedication may be part of commitment, or commitment may be the word, and dedication is part of it. It's whichever word feels better. Like if I say to you, dedication, how does that feel to you, Charisse?
It feels good. Feels good, but I don't know. I think commitment and dedication could be, yeah, almost the same.
Right. So I would say pick one. So does
Pick
commitment
one.
feel like has a good energy to it, or does dedication have a good energy to you? Or you say the word to me and how it,
Dedication. Dedication sounds kind of, I would probably stick more as opposed to commitment.
okay. So that's what you want to feel in your body. You want to feel like when you read it or hear it or say it, it lights you up and it inspires you and excites you. So I'll give you an example. Responsibility and integrity were 2 words I was considering as to hit the same kind of value for me. Both of them would have worked there. And I was deciding between the 2, integrity or responsibility. And integrity, when I said the word integrity, that felt something strong in me. I felt a commitment. I felt a dedication. I felt alive with it. Responsibility felt like a burden. Responsibility felt
Mm,
like I've grown up. Always been responsible. I was told to be responsible. I tend to be overly responsible. So responsibility tended to weigh me down a little bit.
mhm,
And integrity lifted me up. Subtle. Neither one is good or bad for anybody else. Some people have
mhm.
both, I'm not here as like saying yes or no to one or the other. What I'm asking you to do is just look inside yourself and feel inside your body, like, which one feels better to me? Is it responsibility, not integrity, or dedication or commitment? Which one? And
Yeah, the dedication kind of
yeah,
feels better, because commitment seems more of a hard stop,
yeah,
kind of
great.
like a, yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why you put them both on the wall. And as you wake up in the morning and you see it, oh, commitment, I have another commitment. Or, like
Right.
dedication, I'm dedicated. I'm dedicated in all these ways. And, and define what that means to you.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think I had another a client I was working with, and she had the word kind as one of her values. Great word. Who would say kind is not right? But as we dug behind it a little bit, she'd been told her entire life, be kind, be kind, be kind. And it really became somebody else's voice telling her to be kind rather
Mhm.
than her word to reach her truth inside herself. And it's became empathy was the word she ended up choosing, because that was the part of her that fueled the kindness. And so it was such a big awareness for her, because there's nothing wrong with the word kind. That is a beautiful word. But it's all of the parts of us that show up here to do this journey together that answer that call. And so
Mhm.
that's what the testing is, why we put them up and be like, oh, is it commitment or dedication? Which one falls into the shoulds, and which one falls into the full body yes, and feeling good. Because
Mhm.
success is well-being. And if we're going to use our values in this way, we want to make sure that they feel good. And that's how we kind of test them. Terry, are there any ones you're working on? Do you have your list still somewhere?
I don't have it with me because I'm in 29 Palms. I have very little stuff here.
Oh yeah,
Um,
no, I know. I wasn't expecting you to have it with you.
um,
Putting them on
it's,
your notes on your phone isn't a bad idea. I
oh,
encourage.
that's true too.
Then you can have them wherever you go, on any adventure that you go
Yeah. True, true, true.
Yeah.
at any time.
Hmm.
Um, I think I like this word flourishing a lot. Um, and I think, in friendships and in, my own personal development and in my relationship to my husband, and um, looking at what is flourishing, what does it look like?
Mhm.
Um, I think it's such a good word. Um,
Yeah, I have a list for you, but I don't know if it's the most updated one.
hmm.
You could check it if you want. I could read it to you.
Okay, so you had said focused efficiency, self-expression, feeling treasured, valued.
That's one. Connection, which is
Yeah.
belonging, community, spiritual growth. And then there's one that says maybe it's inner peace, which has clarity and calm in it.
Um,
And then if you want, you can flourish, you can put in there too to see where it goes. I mean, I don't want you to have more than 7 for both of you, because it's just too overwhelming. 5 to 7
yeah.
sweet spot. So you whittle it down to 7, but less than 5 is not enough typically.
Okay.
These are guidelines, not hard, fast rules.
Yeah.
But that's, but once you get clear on what these are, what the 5 or 7 are, then these small successes become poignant. They're not so,
Yeah.
they're just daily. Imagine that, daily success. Woo, woo, right?
We love that.
Yeah. So, um, but I would love if you, I don't know what day of the week next time our 11/11 is on, but next month, but it would be great to hear if you want to come check back in on,
It's on a Wednesday.
oh, okay, it's on a Wednesday. Will you be able to come?
Yeah, I'll be coming. I'll be just coming back from Belize. So the day
What an
before.
adventure. Bring
But I
your
think that's among family too, right? You'll be with your family.
Yes, yes, yes.
I love that. Bring your list with you on your phone so you can really see which of the values are there
Yeah.
while you're there. And I would love to hear how which ones stood out to you in this month, you know, to get your list really so you can feel really confident about your list.
Mhm.
It's a great list. I wrote it down too, but we'll check in if you
Yeah,
feel up for that task.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
Values exploration task is what I call it. So, I mean,
But Belize is such a tiny country. It's and everyone I've ever heard from who has gone there loves Belize.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
never been. I want to go. That sounds
It's,
great. You have to tell me how it is.
it's really nice. It's really nice. It's beautiful, and the people are very, very nice. And yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm so excited for you.
It's the Caribbean, so how could you not love the Caribbean?
Right?
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we're right at the end, but it was such a great session today. Thank you both for coming on,
Certainly.
and really diving into what does success mean, because I think it's another one of those words that gets thrown around a lot. And
Mhm, mhm.
when we get clear about what it means to us, we can celebrate it more, have more of it in our lives, and our
Yeah.
values just direct us to what that is. So I can't wait to see what happens in the next month. So keep me posted.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Lots of
How
love.
long will you be in Belize?
Oh, just about five days. They're celebrating Carnival, their Independence Day. So of course I
Oh,
could take too much time off of work because I'm going here and there and been there everywhere. So they were graceful enough to give me 5 more days of vacation this year.
nice. That's
I,
nice.
I can't wait to hear about it. Definitely adventure and a dedication to fun, it sounds like. It's
Yeah, exactly.
like dedication doesn't have to be dedicated to do hard stuff. It could be a dedication to have a great time no matter what, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, exactly, exactly.
It may come up sometime, I know. In any adventure, you need the dedication to have the success. Okay. Love
Mhm.
you all. See you next
Thank
time.
you.
Yes, okay.
Bye.
Carrie,
Bye.
stay hydrated and get some rest, okay?
Yeah,
Okay, thank
that's true
you.
too.